Marbula One, the hotspot in a teapot where we get to see way more controversy than there should be. It's been one heck of a season and there is a lot that has happened, so let's get into the second half. Yep, we are starting off with a banger, eh? The Midnight Wisps did, well, mid in the second half. I don't really know what there is to say about that. But unlike Season 5, they were never not talked about. In fact, they led a lap in a bit at Casino Square, and by the beginning of lap 12, Amaya was in 12th place. Somehow in that short span of time, they climbed through the order and finished that race in 4th. Eve also ran a good second half, even though the Wisps were not a top half team. However, I'm still confident this roster change for Marbula One and the Marble League was a wise decision for this team. This was a better performance than Season 5, and with Amaya and Eve finishing 17th and 22nd respectively, it is more than likely that they will return for Season 7, as long as they have a great performance in the Marble League. But these are the Midnight Wisps, so they could always blow the podium in the final event. It's the only reason I pay attention to you anyways. Oh man, what kind of fun are the speeders gonna ruin for us this time, since we can never have anything nice in this community? The fact that you got a silver at Misty Mountain comes to no surprise to me, as the Savage Speeders haven't placed lower than 8th in its 4 appearances. Even when the Speeders did terrible in qualifiers, they would still claw themselves into the top half. Matter of fact, the times when the Speeders do bad in qualifiers, I use that as a way to get likes just because it's too easy and no one can stop me. Anyways, going into the final race, the Savage Speeders had a 0.62% chance of making the overall podium. And the race has started and Speedy's in 4th place. It looks like they can do it. And oh look, it's a plane! The Speeders did horrible in the final race, breaking their streak of scoring in every single race, and they finished Casino Square in 18th. At least it kept you in 4th place, I guess? Yeah, this team will just ruin things for us no matter what happens. Did I end up mentioning that they also got 2 5th place finishes? Well, at least you didn't completely disappoint this half. The fact that Quasar actually did what I said that they might benefit from Orion's belt, well, it turns out they did benefit from the new track and got another top half finish. Not only that, but Starry really impressed me at Electron Expressway, holding a top half placement the entire race to finish 7th. And Quasar had another great start at Casino Square, holding the lead after lap 3, but of course the pressure was too much for Quasar and finished the race in 10th. I would just want to see this team get another goal for one race, just to prove that they are not being an absolute dumpster fire in Marbula One. The chances of Team Galactic returning next season is going to be on the bubble. If they do return, then Quasar needs to go, and at least give Astron just one shot, just to show their competitive skills at racing, unlike someone like Cosmo, or Pulsar, or Sea Turtles. Yes, I made that last one up, because let's be real, there isn't anyone else for me to put down. If you don't qualify for Marble League 2026, then I'm gonna be so pissed off. The Wolfpack, which I would name them as the Big Bad Wolves. You know why? Because of their appalling performances in the races, which show you why being a Marbula One for the Wolfpack is a waste of space. No finishes above 8th the entire season. You led 2 laps at Orion's belt, and you still blew it to finish 8th. After that, you didn't get a single point into the last race by lotting yourself a 12th place. Here is something that will shock you about how much worse the Wolfpack are in Marbula One compared to the Limers. Comparing the Limers in Season 5 to the Wolfpack this season, both teams placed in 18th, both didn't place higher than 8th, but the amount of rounds scored is what makes a huge difference. This season alone, the Wolfpack only scored in 4 races, whereas the Limers scored in 7 races in Season 5. The Wolfpack got 23 points this season, almost identical to their 21 points in Season 4, whilst the Limers got 33 points in Season 5. Let me get this straight. If the Wolfpack can't even beat one of the worst teams in JMR, then they shouldn't be invited to Marbula One at all. See you in Season 9, you forgettable fleabags. With the entire second half being nothing but consistent finishes, the Green Ducks managed to snag out of the mid-pack and into another top 5 finish. A silver and 2 bronzes is a great way to go on it as well. Even though Billy was super consistent this season, they couldn't find a good rhythm to get a win this season, so their championship hopes flew south. Again. They managed to still place 6th individually though. Billy nearly had the perfect win at Castle Howell, but someone had other ideas. The Green Ducks are 100% going to be back for Season 7, but Mallard might not join them. Aside from their horrible finish at Electron Expressway, a race that Mallard once dominated, Mallard didn't get a podium this season, and it's a shame that these two might split from each other for the first time ever. Remember when Mallard was a hard carry for Billy in Season 4? Well, it's basically flipped around now, as Billy was a hard carry for Mallard. So it's been a good career so far. To think that this team fell off would be an understatement. I don't care if your Rangers scored exactly 60% as many points in the second half compared to the first half, they absolutely fell off this season. Matter of fact, Clementon qualifying 3rd at Misty Mountain and finishing 14th is actually tragic for someone who won this race in Season 4. Even Origin with 2 6th place finishes this season is not good enough. And in the final race, Clementon actually started off super well for the first 9 laps, picking into 4th place multiple times. Then for some unknown reason, you burned yourself in the last 4 laps and finished 11th. So under the circumstances, there was no reclamation at all this season. For Origin, their chances of returning next season is going to be very slim. Meanwhile, Clementon, they're definitely not returning for Season 7. Now I know why Madman started this Should We Cut Clementon game in Season 4, because he was able to see that Clementon would be cut at some point, and well, they're definitely getting cut now. Unless they have a great performance in the Marble League, I don't see Clementon returning at all to Season 7. Introducing your gold medalist from 2024. Yeah, Team Momo has fallen from grace. To be clear, they were already showing signs of inconsistency in Season 5, but this inconsistency is on a whole new level. They've become the first team in Marbula One history to not even crack 10 points in a season, the first team to have both individual runners in the bottom 2 positions of the individual standings, and the only team to not have a single top 10 finish the entire season. This team has become an absolute dysfunctional joke and I hate every second of it. And I know someone who would hate it even more. I looked through Team Momo's second half, and aside from getting mistaken for the Shining Swarm and putting up a decent mid-pack finish at Misty Mountain, I have nothing to talk about. They existed badly, and they made it look like they didn't even exist. Such a sad way to follow up an explosive 2024 season and a great comeback in 2025. It wouldn't surprise me if they failed to qualify for 2026. Might depend on qualifying structure. To say the Solar Flares shouldn't have been invited this season would make it look like they weren't even supposed to compete. I learned my lesson pretty quickly to not hype this team compared to others. You made it look like you were painted as the Jungle Jumpers because of how far you fell off this season. You were peaking into 15th after race 6, and look how you rolled like a joke in the last 4 races. 18th, dead last, 19th, dead last. This position looks so much better on you anyways. The Soul Flares absolutely did not deserve to be here. They have known failure for a number of years up to this point, and I don't see their situation improving anytime soon. And right up to this point of me speaking right now, Ember is still finishing Electron Expressway. Truly an impressive performance. Good luck falling back to the showdown this year, and maybe think about racing good and not just doing good in endurance events. And get some decent races next time. What word would be able to describe this season for the Oceanics? Well, it is pretty simple. Mid. They couldn't get close to getting a top 5 finish even if they were paid to. And they are. The Oceanics are literally sinking back into the depths of the Mariana Trench with this appalling season. A 9th place at Electron Expressway, which is in stark contrast to the season being mixed in with 4 10th place finishes, leading to you having this absolutely miserable finish of a season. The Oceanics may not get invited next season unless they have a great performance in the Marble League. It sucks, because I actually started liking you, but if you're going to continue to just fall back to irrelevancy almost as quickly as you became relevant, then don't let me stop you. Maybe next time put in your best individual runners for the Marble League into Marbula One instead of keeping the same roster every time, because not doing that will be a recipe for disaster. The Oceanics weren't a super disappointment this season, but they do have some things they need to work on. Have fun taking 13th next season. The Cheeseheads definitely cheeseheaded themselves this second half. Only one top half finished the second half, and it was 7th, with Jelle running that event. Outside of that, you didn't get a finish higher than 12th for the rest of the second half. Credit where credit is due for the Cheeseheads, this is their first ever top 10 finish in Marbula One history. It took 52 tries. Yellow was a hard carry for Yellow this season, so in that case, it is more than likely that Yellow is going to be cut in Season 7 in replacement of Yellow. Probably. Here is how I would describe the Cheeseheads this second half. It took me over 3 hours just to do this segment. I am not joking. There was absolutely nothing that caught my eyes for the Cheeseheads this second half. Not to mention, they didn't get a single medal since the end of the first half. Maybe if they start performing consistently again, I will pay attention to you more. The Blackjacks were a huge disappointment this season, but probably the biggest disappointment of the whole season was at Electron Expressway from Club. How do you finish the race exactly where you started after having an amazing first lap gaining 9 spots? This was also a race that Club was so good at in Season 4. This resulted in a whopping 5 points from Club in the second half. How did Diamond do though? Way better than their first half, but yet again, still not good enough to match their dominant second half in Season 4. Diamond managed to get the Blackjacks' first ever top 10 finish, and first qualifying in the top 5 in 5 races. And it still upsets me that Diamond was actually in the top 4 for the first 4 laps, and then of course they fall down the order in typical Blackjacks fashion. Club couldn't even marginally impress me at their home track. I'm just gonna say this. If the Blackjacks are going to return for Season 7, then they need to qualify and perform good in the Marble League. Diamond needs to be cut from the M1 roster, and they need to either bring back Heart or bring an Ace for the next season. And if that doesn't end up happening, I will consider the next season an even bigger failure than this one. So please stop disappointing me and get things together. You impressed me in many different ways. The Indigo Stars starting with a pathetic 16th place qualifying at their home track and then immediately finishing 4th that race was not on anyone's bingo card. Both Indy and Diego managed to get a 6th place each in races 7 and 8. So it still comes out that they were in 9th place at the end of the season. How did that happen? Well, that's when you realize they couldn't get a medal both this second half and this whole season alone. The Indigo Stars then had somewhat of an end of season collapse, scoring only 9 points in the last 2 races. Still, a top half finish is better than nothing for this team's first ever season. I'm sure other teams wish they could say the same thing. I really hope they qualify for the Marble League because it is coming up on 4.5 years since the Indigo Stars were last in the main league. So please don't disappoint your fans. Well, at least you took my advice from my last recap. The Raspberry Racers finally woke up from their Blackberry out and started actually racing. Their only bad finishes were Orion's Belt and Castle Howell. That's convenient considering they were both new tracks this season. But anyways, I knew something was changing the moment they took 6th at Misty Mountain. And it showed. 41 points in your last 3 races. With Razzie actually having the lead at Electron Expressway for a good few laps, leading to you getting a bronze at that race. One more bad finish at Castle Howell, of course, with 14. And then Razzie managed to get another bronze at Casino Square thanks to a hold-up in the midfield. This allowed us to finally get out of the basement and launch into the dizzying heights of another mid-pack finish of 10th. I'm fine with this. This was a good season. These great finishes in the second half allowed both Razzie and Razzie to have a very nice individual finish of 17th and 18th. This will mean they are definitely keeping their roster for Season 7. This is still a far cry from their success in Season 5, but I still have confidence in them for next season. Remember when I ended my Crazy Cat's Eye segment with this? All the felines may just choke the lead and fall to 2nd by the end of the season. Your call. I don't have abilities to be able to see into the future, but I can't believe I was correct. And it was all thanks to your second half. Yellow Eye doing a leap of faith at Misty Mountain, and Red Eye getting dead last and lapped at Orion's Belt. Of course, they still had to ruin everything with a gold at Electron Expressway because, hey, that's just how Red Eye rolls. But then in the final race, Red Eye struggled for the entire race, getting down to as low as 14th before getting back up to 6th, which was just enough for the Crazy Cat's Eyes to be dethroned from the top spot. Other than that, congratulations on another team podium and another individual podium from Red Eye. The Crazy Cat's Eyes were also only one of 2 teams to score in every single race this season. The only other team to accomplish this feat was the Green Ducks. Now if you'll excuse me, I want you to stop ruining everything in Marbula One just for 1 season! Good lord, my Shining Swarm segment didn't age well. In just the hours after I released my halfway recap, Glimmer gets a silver at Orion's Belt, and Shimmer also gets a silver at Casino Square. However, despite breaking a 3.5-year drought and literally 4 times in their Marbula One medal count and point count, 2 17ths and a dead last at Castle Howe, reminds us that these are still the Shining Swarm. 11th place is still your best finish in 2 seasons, and in my eyes, you did just enough to save your spot for Season 7. Glimmer finished 15th individually, so they'll more than likely stick for next season. Shimmer, even with that win, could only manage 23rd, so she'll more than likely have to be cut for Season 7. Matter of fact, Taser and myself are really thinking that if the Swarm do return next season, they will probably swap Shimmer in replacement of Sparkle or Sterling or whatever. We have known success on the Shining Swarm never lasts very long for some time now, so get ready for the Shining Swarm to take 16th in qualifiers. The Bumblebees were definitely buzzing throughout this second half, but that is only because Bumble was a huge carryover stinger this season. The team did neither good nor bad in the second half. 38 points the second half isn't terrible, but it's not good either. Stinger got a 4th place at Misty Mountain, which is impressive considering the fact that Stinger sucked at this race in Season 4. And to be completely honest, this was the only race I really had my eyes locked on the Bumblebees for. Outside of that, there wasn't really much that caught my attention. Still, a 6th place overall and another 9th place individually for Bumble is great. It is also the highest that the Bumblebees have ever placed in Marbula One, so we'll see what happens in the Marble League, which will probably be in May of this year, or whatever timeline it is. Still, this team needs to make some changes, so Stinger's probably going to be cut next season, but we'll see what happens. Remember that consistency that you had to start the season? How you were the only team to not have a single bottom half finish? Well, you're clearly caught up on those. 5 bottom half finishes in every single race the second half, with 3 goose eggs in a row between race 6 and race 8. However, race 6 was the conveyor belt's fault, as marbles were getting way too much speed on the final backstretch. But Misty Mountain? Orion's Belt? Yeah, that's on you. I honestly don't see the Pinkies keeping their roster for Season 7 unless they have a great hosting for the Marble League. And now let's quickly pass over to Detroit. How would you describe the Pinkies' second half this season?
These Pinkies went to the CCE school of collapsing. Back to you.
Thanks, Detroit. I couldn't have said it better myself. Here's something else that may shock you people. The Pinkies only scored 3 points the second half, 1 at Castle Howe and 2 at Casino Square. This means that the Pinkies were statistically the worst performing team this second half. Even Team Momo got more points this second half. Not only that, this is also the second time in 3 seasons where the Pinkies would score up to 40 or more points in the first half and then don't even score higher than 10 points in the second half. Good luck on hosting this year, I guess. This season from the Kobalts was incredible, and getting rid of Royal was a great decision. There is only one problem though. The Kobalts can't get a race podium. Cerulean came so close at Orion's Belt by qualifying 3rd, and for Meepo, it happened again. They qualified 2nd and finished 4th. 1 spot behind. Man, the cats are everywhere! Still, the Kobalts are 6th going into the final race, and Cerulean has another bad qualifying. But they did that at Misty Mountain, surely they will at least get a top half finish at Casino Square, right? No. This track has never been nice to the Kobalts, and Cerulean could only manage 17th, in which the Kobalts were moved down to finish 7th for the season. For the 3rd time in a row, the Kobalts finished a Marbula One season in 7th. Your biggest fans were begging for you to get a medal, but as we can see, it was just too difficult and their hopes went south. What is more interesting is that the Kobalts were somehow so predictable that they had nearly identical points in the first and second half. Is this the Gliding Glaciers again? I thought this was the Kobalts. Still, Meepo and Cerulean both finished top 20, so it will be more than likely they'll stick around for next season. Now let's hope their championship last year wasn't a fluke going into this year. And here we go. Before I go into this segment, I just want to say this battle with the Hazers and the Cats in the second half was probably one of the most intense two-way team battles I've seen since Season 3. This is not even a joke. Whilst watching the final race, my heart was racing like hell, just begging the Hazers to dethrone the Cats. And as for the Hazers, this second half, they were super consistent with 3 golds and no finishes below 5th. Even with the conveyor belt problems at Electrode Expressway wasn't enough to stop the Hazers from making a charge. Then in the final race, Cloudy put on their best race ever and Greg spent the final lap talking about other teams. This line went pretty hard though.
Cloudy wins it, and with Red Eye finishing in 6th, Cloudy has brought the Hazers a championship.
Couldn't have said that better. What's more interesting is that Smoggy's season was almost identical to Cerulean's Season 5 performance. The Hazers have also accomplished 2 more things. They've broken the record for the most points scored on a season set by the Cats in Season 2, and they've also become the first ever team to have both individual runners crack the top 2 positions. Congratulations Hazers on winning Marbula One Season 6, and we look to see another 50 champions from these great faces. Before we move on, how about another trophy for the Hazers that is worth far more? It's the Best Bonk Award! This second half was a pretty tough contest, but the main highlights for the second half was Eve getting ricocheted off the wall, Momo absolutely wallops Jelle, and what I'm calling Raspberry Pinball. In any case, the winner is Smoggy at Electron Expressway, who treated the conveyor belt like it was a water slide. It made all the replays. Congratulations Hazers. Let's hope block pushing won't be on the docket for the qualifiers. And one last thing. Hazers country, let's ride. What a great season. The Snowballs are definitely one of the best performing Marbula One teams. Your only bad finish this half was Misty Mountain from Snowstorm, but Snowstorm would still impress us with a fantastic weekend at Castle Howe. Snowy was also really impressive this second half with finishes of 7th at Orion's Belt, 2nd at Electron Expressway, and 5th place at Casino Square. This was more than enough for the Snowballs to capture another team podium, and they actually did better than Season 5 by 1 point. That's very impressive. Considering this is only the Snowballs' 4th season in Marbula One, these could be great performances that the Snowballs will be willing to take into Season 7 and Marble League 2026. Both Snowstorm and Snowy finished 5th and 7th individually, so it was a fantastic season. I hope they can show that their silver medal defense in 2024 wasn't a fluke and the Snowballs should be fine. And that is the second half of Marbula One Season 6. Good lord, this season took the life out of me, but it was worth it. This was overall a good season. I will give it a 6.5 out of 10. Anyways, JMR will be cutting 5 teams when Season 7 happens, so I'm going to predict who I think will be getting cut and who will replace them. My picks for the teams that will be getting cut are as follows: Solar Flares, Oceanics, Blackjacks, Team Momo, and the Wolfpack. And these are the teams that I'm thinking will replace them: Chocolatiers, Turtle Sliders, Gliding Glaciers, Purple Rockets, and Team Plasma. Fingers crossed that this will work. Before the video ends, I also do want to say that I'm going to start doing ranking videos, so Marbula One Season 6 ranking video will be coming really soon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and as always, reach for the stars.
Tonight, we stay with them, and we shut them down because we can. Tonight, we are the greatest hockey team in the world.
And it's a bad start for Red Eye. He got hung up on the starting gate briefly. Oh, and Red Eye's still up there. Red Eye is stuck. Oh my goodness, drama in the championship for what seemed like an easy win. Red Eye is stuck higher up on the course trying to get going, and if not, we're going to have a safety marble.